Okay, so I got that side working, and I did go online and order me a set of high, very bright LED, ultra modern, all the newest rage kind of brake light turn signal bulbs. So that's working. I made a piece out of a piece that came off the old steering unit that I wound up putting in a Studebaker. This is the piece right here. Now I just wrapped it all up in tape just to keep everything where it won't get touched. And basically all this is a toggle switch, and it works like that. Yeah, so I can see the light flashing up there on that one. Pretty bright lights. So I suppose I ought to check the brake light too. That's what I was doing the other day. Let's check that brake light. And the way I do that is I mash the brakes and I put a board under them. Yeah. Scooch the seat back. Brake lights. And we do not. So we got turn signals and no brake lights, which kind of doesn't make sense because the circuit that runs to the brake light, the wires are the same wires that operate the turn signals. Let me just do this. There's no reason why that brake light shouldn't be working, especially due to the fact that there is power under the hood. Alright, so I don't think it's possible to hold the camera and the flashlight and the light tester all at the same time. But this wire goes to the brake light sending unit that's under the dash. And this wire comes away from the brake light sending unit that's under the dash and takes the power through the body of the car and out back there where the brake lights are. Now, generally the filament, you've got one light bulb inside that rear light, and the filament that operates the brake lights is the same filament that operates the turn signals, and that filament is lighting. Now I'm gonna just pull the lights on here, go back here and see what we got. We got lights there. Lights right there. So we got everything with brake lights here, and that seems odd to me. However, I should note that the other day when I opened this trunk, I realized that there's been toolboxes, and well, it doesn't make sense to me though. The wiring that takes the light to the brake should be the same wiring. Now, I will say that, see, there's a toolbox. You see some wiring coming out here, going across. You probably can't see it, but it runs across back here. Pretty old wiring. Looks like that. I think what I'll do though is turn this around and back the back in. Just take everything out of the trunk and get those bulbs out. I'm going to need to do that anyway to put the new bulbs in it. They say they're going to come tomorrow. Good old Amazon, you know. They say, yeah, order it today and you'll have it tomorrow. I like that. So I think what I'm going to do is, I got the front seat loaded down with tools and things too. So I'm going to empty all the tools out of the front seat, crank the car up, turn it around, back it in here. That way If it rains, it won't be bothering me today. And then we'll go from there. All right, let's talk a little brake light turn signal theory here. You've got this right here is what you have to power to light up your brake light and your running light on the rear, and your turn signal. Now notice there's only 2 wires. One of these wires is going to have fire to it to run your running lights. The other one is going to run both your running light and your brake light. Generally, somewhere in the car, there's a system set up to interrupt the fire to the brake light on the side that the turn signals are at. Now my guess is on this car, that was built into the mechanism that was in the steering column that I took out. I'm guessing when that turn signal indicator went one way, it cut the brake light off on the side that wasn't going to be blinking. No, it'd be the other way. It would cut the brake light off on the side that was going to be blinking. They do that in various ways. Sometimes they do it by interrupting the power. In other words, the brake light is still working, they just interrupt the power that goes to it. So there's kind of more than one way that could possibly be done. What I'm thinking about doing is maybe a bit of a modification and something completely else. This is the inside of where this piece goes, and then this goes over it like that, and it looks like this. That light right there goes in this hole right here, and it doesn't quite fill up this whole space. The light I've ordered, the LED light, is actually a smaller bulb. What I'm thinking I might do is come over here to one side and drill another hole and put another one of these light fixtures in and put the LED bulb in there, if I can fit it inside of here, and then run a separate wire up to the brake sending unit, brake pedal sending unit that's under the dash of the car. And I could grab that wire from either right there on the unit, or I could grab it from right up here, because that wire is actually right here. I could also run it either under the car, or I could literally go under the carpet and run it all the way back and then come back here. And then I would have a separate bulb on a separate line, which would give me additional brake noticeability. Is that the word? It would give me a good bright separate brake light. And I notice these turn signals are good and bright now, and it may be that my thinking was that what was happening was that I had a wire that went up into the steering column, and from there went back out and went back to the brakes on both sides. And it may just have not had much of a connection that way. A lot of worn out pieces and parts and places where things can, sort of change direction. So now I seem to have a much brighter turn signal. If I also had a much brighter brake light, and that would also give me an additional filament, so I could wire that additional filament right over off of the running light and have a better running light, kind of a backup running light. So I'd have 2 running light bulbs inside of that, 1 brake light and 1 turn signal. And I could put it all right inside there with the addition of another hole and another little connector. So I was thinking, I'll run up to the parts store and get one, and I thought, no, let's wait, because I want to see how big the bulb is, and to make a decision about what I want to put in there, because I'm going to be thinking about space. So I decided to do nothing with that. I've kind of got my theory figured out in my head, and now I'm not going to do anything with it today. They said that my light bulb would be coming tomorrow, so I think what I'm going to do is walk away from this for today, and then come back out tomorrow after my bulb gets here, and then we'll redo this. That'll kind of kill two birds with one stone, because at one point I was pricing a plate that would go in here and replace all this, and it was a real nice LED setup. And you know, the idea that for what I'm paying for an extra bright bulb and for one of those little, you know, light fixtures. By the way, I'm sure I've got some old trailer lights around here somewhere I could pull fixtures out of, but I don't really want to. I'd kind of like to put something new in there, if I can find something that looks like it's good quality. So that's kind of where I'm at on my thinking right now, and I'm gonna just let it sit right there, and then tomorrow or the next day, whenever we're at this again, we'll come back to it and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching. See you later.